Welcome to the Circularity Edge podcast, where we discuss the latest news and perspectives on the circular economy and issues relating to social, environmental, and economic sustainability. Join us every week when we discuss what's needed to create a sustainable circular economy worldwide. Now, here is your host, Ken Alston.
Hello, this is Ken Alston with the Circularity Edge podcast. Today, my special guest is Rob Oomen, Director General of Vytal. Vytal is the largest renewable container system in Europe and is now in Mexico. Welcome, Rob.
Thank you, Ken. Hi. Good morning, I think, on your side over here as well. Just to make sure we get it right, I am the Director of Vytal in Mexico. And not of Vytal Global, because Vytal is much larger. So just to make that, perfect.
Thank you for making sure we're aware we're talking mainly about what's new in Mexico today.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of talk, Rob. You and I have known each other a while. We met last time on the wonderful island of Aruba a few years ago. And there's a lot of talk about the circular economy, particularly in Europe, but all over the world. But the number of businesses that are really focusing on real practical aspects of implementing circularity is still relatively small. And Vytal's obviously trying to fill a new gap here, targeting the restaurant and the cafeteria packaging waste market. Introduce us to Vytal in general, what's been happening in Europe and what you're now doing in Mexico.
Yes, absolutely. Vytal was started a little over 3 years ago in Germany with the objective of eliminating single-use packaging in the restaurant industry, which meant replacing single-use for reusable packaging, which, of course, in its essence is a very simple idea. But the complexity in launching a model like this sits obviously in the logistics behind it and managing that the packaging can be reused over and over again without it being a big barrier for the consumer to use it, without it being an extra cost for the restaurants, and to ensure that the packaging doesn't get lost in the process. And Vytal has developed a unique system, and with that they are the largest deposit-free reusable packaging system in Europe at the moment. They're expanding worldwide, and I am responsible through a franchise to handle operations for Vytal in Mexico.
And so there's no deposit for the customer in using the container. And is there anything on the side for the restaurant to?
Yes. The philosophy behind the model is that we should stay as close as possible to how consumers and restaurants are used to consuming at this moment, meaning that with single use, the packaging in a way is free for the user. Of course, it's included in the price for the food, but the consumer is not used to pay separately for their packaging. So the system is designed that all containers are equipped with a QR code, and there is an app for restaurants and an app for the end user. And the end user registers one time in the app with a credit card, a debit card, or with PayPal, which won't be charged as long as the packaging is returned within 2 weeks at any participating restaurant or establishment or return point. The restaurants, on the other hand, are supplied for free with the packaging, and based on the checkouts that they do, which is monitored by the QR codes that are being scanned, they are charged per use for the use of the reusable packaging, also being very similar to being charged for every single-use packaging that they normally use. And that is the philosophy behind Vytal, to lower the barriers for the users and the restaurants to such an extent that it is as frictionless as single-use packaging.
So for the restaurant, they don't pay anything up front. Normally, they would have to buy the containers, right, themselves.
Exactly.
Have them in stock. Now you're providing the packaging essentially for free in stock, and then it's only charged on use.
Yeah, we have a small one-time sign-up fee, but that is to bring the partner on board. But that's only one time. And afterwards, it is indeed only per use, and the risks for the restaurant in that sense is very little.
And what happens practically? Say I'm using the app, and I want to go to. I use the app presumably to find a restaurant that is included in your service.
Yeah.
And how do I make the connection between my order and the container?
Very good question. Here as well, the design behind the system, again, to be able to stay as close to the consumption patterns that consumers have. So whether you go pick up your food at the restaurant, order via phone, or order via platforms such as Uber Eats, you can do that with Vytal. So the Vytal app does give you an overview of the participating restaurants and cafeterias with Vytal, but you can decide, hey, I would like to pick up my food. If you do that, you arrive and you show the QR code that's in your app so that they can link the packaging to you. When you order via phone or through Uber Eats, the app generates an automatic token which has 6 numbers that you either communicate through the phone or in the comment section in Uber Eats. You put that code there so that the restaurant knows, this person would like to receive, Ken would like to receive his food in a Vytal container. And when checking out the container, so when scanning the QR code of the container, they then add your number to it so that the packaging is linked to you. And in that way, we facilitate that consumers, our users, can order the way they are used to order.
Now, when I've eaten my meal and I need to return the container, do I have to clean the container before I take it back to the restaurant?
We encourage all users to at least rinse the container so that it doesn't arrive very dirty at the restaurant. But all the restaurants have the obligation to clean the container with the applicable hygiene standards before its next use. But it's more a matter of let's say, of good behavior to just give a quick rinse to the container to keep it nice for both the user and the restaurant. Yeah.
And then, it's possible that I might buy or use the container, get it from one restaurant, but take it back to a different one. Is that right?
Exactly. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And that's the beauty about the system, that you might order from a place quite far away from your house, but around the corner you have a participating establishment and you can leave your packaging there. And at the same time, in Mexico, we don't have that live yet, but in Germany, yes. Also working on models that the delivery services, such as Uber Eats, and in Germany there are some other ones as well. Once they deliver you your next meal, they are able to pick up your old containers or your used containers, which makes the experience even more frictionless because, you don't even have to get out of your house to return the packaging.
And what happens when the container, where's the quality control in terms of however many uses it is before it becomes unusable? There's a certain point when it's got cracked or something happened to it. And
exactly.
It's not quality standard to be used again.
Correct. Well, the containers are designed to have a lifespan of at least 150 usage, often more. We work with our partners, the restaurants, the cafeterias, to identify if a container is broken or damaged or in such a way stained that it's not proper to use it anymore. This can be reported via the partner app, the app for restaurants, and they can either send it back to the Vytal warehouse, or if we do a next restock at some point in a restaurant, or to balance the stock, we can pick up the containers that are not suitable anymore for use.
So you're keeping in the background, you're keeping a tally of how many containers have been sent out and whether they
that's the beauty about the system, and to give you a little perspective on that. So we have both the app for user and the restaurant, but there is also a whole back-end system where we can monitor the checkouts, which type of container, how many days a container is in the system, etc., etc. And well, to give you a bit of a perspective on the scale, Vytal as a whole has avoided over 5 million single-use packaging with their system. It has over 380,000 registered users, and in Germany alone, there's over 5,000 restaurants participating in the system. So yeah, it's a system that has developed quite well and has
quite quickly. I mean, you said
to function.
It's only 3 years, so it's
absolutely
gone quite quickly.
Yeah.
And how long have you been in Mexico? It's obviously more recent.
Yeah, well, I personally have been in Mexico for almost 3 years. And of course, as you know, I've been active in the circular economy field for many more. And this is an opportunity I personally have been looking at for quite some time. And we launched Vytal in Mexico in November. So it's on a very small scale still, and very recently. And as we speak, we are scaling up our operations. First in the city of Guadalajara, with the aim of going nationwide in terms of the bigger cities in Mexico by the end of this year.
Excellent. And what's been the reaction so far? Obviously, it's early, but is there a lot of interest? Are people intrigued? What's the general sense?
They are absolutely intrigued. So there's interest, and through whichever restaurant or potential user you present the model, they are like, oh wow, this is interesting. And also the way the model works, because oftentimes the barrier of ordering let's say to $20 in value of food, but if you have to pay $15 in deposit, that doesn't work. So they are very intrigued by the system and the way the business model behind the system has been designed. And although Mexico, the awareness on environmental issues is a little less let's say further developed as in Europe, you definitely do see here as well that the amount of environmental initiatives and the awareness is increasing. So the reception to the model is very positive. And of course, it comes down to scaling it up to make sure it is visible to as many consumers as possible, because a model like this also can succeed with scale. So that's what we are at the moment.
It's sort of like a two-sided marketplace where you need enough restaurants for people to be interested to use it, and you need enough users for the restaurants to feel like it's worthwhile for them too. So you've got to get balance right between the two sides.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what it is. Yeah.
And how how's the pace going so far? Are you on target for what you're expecting to grow and roll out?
Yes, we are. Absolutely. We are working hard to add as many restaurants as possible. And of course, initially, operations, when you start out from scratch, there's always some bumps along the way. But we're definitely on target to scaling up this year in the city of Guadalajara and to prove that the system works here as well.
And am I right in thinking there's like some credits within the system as well that the users get?
Yeah, that works. Indeed, you have seen that, right? That more works in the way that when users do not return the container after 2 weeks, they can extend the return period for 1 week at the cost of approximately $1, well, depending on a euro or the Mexican peso, but for approximately $1. But if afterwards it's still not being returned, the user is charged for the container, and they are allowed to keep the container. But if they are saying like, hey, I would still like to return my containers, they earn a certain amount of credits in the Vytal app for still returning the containers, and each credit has a value of approximately $1, which they can use towards either paying for an extension, or the app as well has the functionality. It's not something we very actively pursue, but to order through the app. So there is a functionality that restaurants can offer their menu through the app. So those credits can be used towards paying for a meal in the app as well.
Oh, okay. And what materials are the containers made from?
We have different types. The ones that are made from plastic is PP, polypropylene material. We also have what we call the sushi containers, but we've seen they are already used for different types of uses as well. And these are made of stainless steel.
Okay.
The bottom and the top is made of plastic as well. So in that sense, we have different types of containers. Yeah.
So we'll include a couple of pictures in the text.
Absolutely.
In the podcast, so people can see what we're talking about. And what's the biggest need right now? Is it really just to grow the number of restaurants and grow the number of people who are aware of the fact that they can use this?
Yes, absolutely. It's first about creating a certain footprint in the market over the next 6 months, which really first starts with having more and more restaurants into the network, and a little bit behind comes the fact of the activation of users that they will actually start using the concept as well. Yep.
And is there like PR or promotional material in the restaurants that you bring on board, so that if anybody just walks in, they now see that this is a new option?
Yes, great question as well. We should add some images as well. We, for example, have this promotional material. I don't know if it's readable, in which we present and explain the concept to the user, as well as a bigger poster that we provide. And we encourage the restaurants to also display the containers, because as you can see, and the viewers will see later, they are very high quality. So
Right.
The presentation of the food will increase will increase by a lot, so to say. So it is an eye catcher in the restaurant as well. So we encourage restaurants to present these containers actively to the user.
And I assume that another good marketing message will be just word of mouth, right? To get people who try it for the first time to say, "Hey, I just did this new trial. I had this non-disposable packaging when I ordered my sushi or my."
Absolutely. We are starting a social media campaign, and we have started on that as well. And of course, to more and more interact with our users. And another market that may be relevant to the word of mouth part that we're doing as well is to not only target restaurants specifically, but also offices and universities that have their own restaurants on site. And of course, offices and companies, they have more and more sustainability targets. And this is a very tangible one, in which they can encourage their employees to leave the disposable packaging and start using the reusable ones. And that is definitely a focus market as well, to basically accelerate the word of mouth to promote the system. Yeah.
And the packages right now, presumably they're coming from Europe, from the original production of the Vytal work in Europe that's been going on for longer.
We have a mix. Yeah, we have some our cups, for example, that you see here are made here in Mexico. And we have several containers indeed coming in from Germany and some others from China. And as we are, of course, starting with a bit smaller quantities, that was the best option to go for now. But definitely the ambition is there to, when the concept scales up, to also produce this locally. Well, as this has many benefits for the system and also for the environment eventually, of course.
Sure. Yeah. Well, good. And what else is new about the launch? Tell us anything else that you have. Any other news?
Well, it's I think it is interesting to note as the packaging what I was mentioning to you was, for example, these initially designed as a sushi container, and you see that here in a local market where, of course, different type of food is being consumed. The restaurants see different opportunities for these as well. Like, this is a beautiful tray to serve tacos, for example. Yeah. So that is something that you indeed see. I think other interesting developments is you see in terms of in Europe, it's a bit more common that people go and pick up their food in a restaurant, and in Mexico, the majority in terms of takeaway orders is for delivery at home. So those consumption patterns are different, which also might require us to adapt in that sense to local market circumstances. Further, for the local market, like I mentioned to you, we see a first rate interest, and our aim is to scale that up as fast as possible in a way that is suitable for the local market. And we're very happy we are working as a franchise with Vytal from Germany, because we are able to start with a well-tested and proven system from day one, which will certainly help us in the adoption of the system in this market. That's I think one of the main important things that will help us scale fast in this market.
And I'll include a link to the website, and people will be able to see the map of Guadalajara there, and some of the restaurants.
The restaurants are coming along. Yes, there will be many more to follow soon that are in the pipeline. Yeah,
I think it's a great initiative, and thank you for sharing with us what you're doing. And hopefully, I know we have some listeners in Mexico. So if you haven't come across this before, then get in touch with Rob and let's spread the word.
Feel free to reach out, because it's a market with great opportunity, and the environmental impact we're able to make, because the amount of packaging waste, and those are billions of items a year that go to waste. So the impact is very concrete and visible. So that's what we are striving for.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for updating us on your new project, and good luck.
Thank you, Ken, for having me here on the Circularity Edge podcast.
You've been listening to the Circularity Edge podcast. Be sure to subscribe on iTunes or Google Play to get new, fresh weekly episodes. For more, please follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, or visit our website
at www.circularityedge.com.
Until next time, buy circular.